I don't know how many of you have an open discussion or are able to have an open discussion with your husbands or wives or spouses, partners, whatever we're going to call them now. This significant other. But if that is not combined with a total openness and respect for yourself, you will never help the other. So it's not that the other has got to give you space, it's that you've got to include the other in your growth. So this is where the part of being yourself whole in three-dimensional world, in your love life, in your vested interests. Because a relationship is the biggest vested interest you could have. However we want to call it, whichever level it might be. So, we are educating humanity into another way of life. Pausa. This is, okay, you are beginning to live a life of wholeness and of individuality, of independence and authenticity. You get home and you find that you're not independent and you can't be authentic. So the big choice comes. What do I save? My status quo, my way of living, my comfort, my peace at home, or the relationship? To what level are you involved in your relationship? So up to now, we have been dealing with ourselves, with our need, yearning to be loved. And we've been fighting that all along. It's too much to feel yourself completely loved. And that begins with yourself. That begins with opening up to this, what we're calling the presence, to love you and feel loved by that. I have said it, you have said it, many have said it. It's devastating. It's the most painful experience you can have. More than all the hard stuff that has happened to you, more than all the tragedies, traumas in your life. When you sit there in emptiness and you allow yourself to be loved, you are nothing. You don't have an identity, and there's nothing you can do. You don't give it back. There's nothing. You're totally, it's the ultimate experience of helplessness in the full sense. We forget this when we feel helpless in the worldly sense, that the solution is to go back to that helplessness in its core and connect with your source so that then you can be whole. And then it's not what you want to do, it's what you are. Okay. All of this to say, the attitude that you need to have about yourself and preserving the contact, the connection, the information, the wisdom that you have acquired in the school. How to preserve that in front of your spouse who is speaking a different language. And this is a question that each one of you has got to answer individually. Because that's going to bring you down or put you in such a situation of conflict that you can't be wholly yourself. Now we're trying to change the world here by changing ourselves. So let's begin expressing that change with a partner. How are you going to deal with that relationship and with what happens with you within that relationship? Because that is your relationship with the world. Your spouse, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever they might be, your partners in the making, are all the world. They're all out there. How are you relating to that? And we get to the ultimate question of inner alchemy and why we exist as a school of consciousness. How is that relationship? How are we going to be, do, and weave through that relationship if you are in love truly and not just comfort, love is not comfortable. Far from it. Love is what keeps you, the spark alive. It makes you grow and move and go beyond. It's an expansive force, not a directional force. It doesn't give you meaning, and if it does, it's a vested interest. Love expands who and what you are. And so the doing becomes a being. And that is such a tremendous force. I want you very, very seriously to consider this question. What am I doing in my life with my relationships, especially the important ones? Now, it's very easy for me to say, you need to respect yourself in words, in order to be respected. So, the effect that you're going to have on the other is irradiatory. It's qualitatively. They don't know what hit them, most of them. And if they do, if you've spoken with them, they will understand the concept, but not the experience. But you become the experience in contact with them, especially in lovemaking, or just sleeping next to the person. And if you're not in a sexual relationship, your friends will get affected simply by your being there. Let's not forget that friendship is as important and as deep a connection as the sexual relationships. It's like we think in terms of relationship being always sexual. That is minimal. Minimal. Or at least the new human, yourselves, we don't come in relationship just for gratification at the physical level. There's so much more involved. So question the underlying beliefs as to what took you into a relationship, what keeps you in a relationship, what your commitment is and what it involves. How far are you willing to go in selling yourself to the old format because your partner can't follow? And if you do so, do it consciously. Know what you are selling. Before you go into conflict and tension, as I don't know what to do and I'm living two lives in one, ask yourself, what am I exactly doing and what for? And if you have the privilege of being in a relationship that you can truly share verbally and emotionally with, what are you waiting for? One of the first things that we need to do is educate our spouses, and I use the word educate, on being whole and alone. Do you want that? Or do you want them to keep depending on you? Do you want to keep feeding that dependence that society places on you within a relationship of exclusivity, me against the world against me, us? The proverbial we think, you know, it's like Hillary Clinton saying, we are the president. She certainly was. Who is dominating? Who is what? Who is an individual? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? And what are you doing with the life of another? Because from the moment that you committed into being in that relationship, there were a lot of promises that were made. And those promises were far from being clear. They were not really verbal, and they involved so much more. So please reconsider that in this last module of the personality, strictly speaking. Obviously, we're going to touch on these subjects forever. But at this level, I want to leave you with that big interrogation, that big quest and the big questioning. What are you doing in a relationship? How are you treating that relationship? You are responsible for everything that you do. So you can't say, my husband doesn't allow me, or I have to think of my husband when I get home, or I can't do the training because of my husband, or they need attention, and I'm not giving them attention. Or the guilt that accompanies you for enjoying yourself, doing things, and not having the time to invest in your partner. Discuss these things. Your spouse has got to walk by him or herself also, ultimately. Maybe they won't do it in this lifetime because you're there, because it's a vested interest for you to keep them dependent and loving you and, showering you with their attention, with their body, with their presence. So those of you who are married, when you go home, what are you going to do? How are you going to be? And those of you who are unmarried, what are you looking for? And how, in the game, because it's a game of relating, it's a fun game of relating, what interests do you invest in? Let's go back to the same word, investment. What are you looking for and what are you doing? You are responsible. If you seduce somebody, seduction is a game that both men and women play in different ways. But when a woman seduces a man, she's playing on his energies and she traps him. A woman traps a man, like it or not. It's what we are. We're walking traps. What we do with him and what happens to him, this is what they don't see. So men here in this group, open your eyes, and any man listening to me, open your eyes. What do you get into? And this is why you're so much more vulnerable than a woman. And even if your relationship is with somebody of your own gender, it transcends gender. You're both responsible equally. There may be a double trap or whatever. So how can we raise the consciousness of the world as we're wanting to? How can we change things for the better? If we don't start, okay, we've done ourselves, we're doing ourselves. Now it's the people who are close to you. How do you respond to that? What do you do? And each time you sell out again and again and again, because your partner, poor thing, has been without your presence for a week or 2 weeks, for however long it has been, because you're doing something for yourself and you've got to go home and make up to him or to her. If the other person is living a full life, which is what you need to look for, I don't think it's there yet, especially in old marriages, help them to find something that they're going to be fulfilling themselves in, themselves. And try to shift that paradigm for the future, little by little, of standing on your own feet, of being all one. We could not refine and uplift this world unless we refine and uplift our relationships, the nature of them. And if they are basically selfish, which they are, reread the little books, the booklets, the manuals that we're giving you, and think. I mean, look and feel into yourself. They're basically selfish. I don't want to be alone. I want to feel loved. I want your warmth. I want to be taken care of, etc., etc., etc. I don't need to list them. So how we handle these relationships is the way that we're handling the world, life, children, dogs, horses, cats, everything, the earth. What do you think this earth is composed of here in Canet? This afternoon we're going to be working with that. It's composed of billions of human beings who came before. All the imprints are impregnated on this earth, all of their experiences. What do you think your Khat body, Khat, is composed of? Your ancestors. All the memories of your ancestors, all their relationships, however fucked up they were. Are you aware of that? So let this be a very deep reminder for you in how you deal with yourself, which is still in the making, how I relate to myself and my body, these billions of elementals inside of me, these little particles of life that are responding to my heart, to my light, to my consciousness. How do I integrate this huge city that I am? This amalgam of intelligence and pieces and fragments and life and forms. And then, how do I relate to another? And what do I put myself through? What do I invite into the world? Because if you're married or you're committed with somebody who's very, very strong, they're going to do everything in their power to keep power over you. And it's not a sharing of power that we're looking for. Even if in your domain, you're in charge, in my domain, I'm in charge, you can set up limits, you can talk about it, you can discuss it, you can put diplomacy on it, you can do everything you want to do with it. It's not about that. It's about being whole. It's about being all one. So little by little, let's educate ourselves, our children, our spouses, and do what is ethically correct without holding any excuses for not doing it, because poor thing. Remember when you started writing your letters, your goodbye letters? And we explained how, okay, so you've got to tell your mother how you suffered. But your mother is not that person anymore. You are not that child anymore. So you don't have any grudge with her now. But the memories inside of you are all impregnated by those experiences that happened in the past. They don't know time. Your body doesn't have time. Did you know that? This is why your body hurts. It exists in that, whatever was impressed in it, multiple time. The body, the physical matter body. So all of these experiences are, in a sense, yours, humanity. And it is your responsibility as of now, each present moment, what I do, how I live it, how I qualify life within me and around me. This is where the true change happens. And this is what contributes to creating a better world. is much more subtle here. I mean, here as compared to South America. Much more subtle. In South America, women are trained all the time, all the time, all the time to ask permission of their husbands. It's still there. It's still Middle Ages. Professional women, wealthy, international, well-traveled. And you'll still find that here too. Only it's masked. Where do you want to go? Where do you choose? It is always your choice. So your greatest work only begins with yourself. It ends in all the relationships that you have. And of course, that won't ever end. There is a huge responsibility in speaking your truth and addressing the truth of the other. And if the other is not there yet, are you helping him? Are you loving him or her? You can't deal with it? So what are you doing in that relationship in that way? What are you doing in that relationship in that way? Why can't you just be friends and live apart? Oh, terror, fear. Any questions?